right? You can stop me anytime if I'm moving too fast, or if you need me to repeat anything, or if you have questions. But I'll be taking questions at the ending of this session. Thanks for joining. So this is the third week of the mobile app journey. So I'll be taking us through this week class, which is roadmap to which is about roadmap to mobile application mastery. He's talking about how you build projects and how you approach building a project and all. So let's dive in. So a little about me. I've been a mobile developer for over 5 years. I've worked with native Android and iOS as well as cross-platform Flutter, but I mostly work with Flutter, right? I use a little bit of Swift, Kotlin, Java, Flutter, and the likes. So that's a bit about me. So to start with, if you want to be a really, really, really good mobile developer, there are some building blocks you have to really understand. And so that would be the first one will be mobile OS basics. So you have to know the underlying architecture, how the platform you want to build application for works. And what you have available there for you that you can use. So the next one is UI UX principle. So you have to learn the fundamental of user interface and user experience design. And because we always want to create an intuitive and engaging user interface. So otherwise, people will get bored and they won't install our app. And then the third one is data storage, very important. We need a way to keep user data somehow, right? So for this, we can consider using local storage, be it structure or structured database like SQLite. Hive is also another one. We can use remote database. There is even Firebase. Firebase can also act as a database. So you have to understand these three things, like they are the key principle, like the fundamental of mobile app development. So the next one, I'm sure the other guy touched this, which is in mobile app development, we have native and then there's cross-platform, right? So for native, you can build apps specifically for iOS or Android. So for iOS, you can use Swift or Objective-C. And then for Android, you can either use Kotlin or Java. So while for cross-platform, you can choose to use React Native or Flutter. Personally, I use Flutter. This kind of helps you faster development, and then it removes performance limit. Very good for, and then even cost. It cut cost because instead of hiring two different developers to build separate app for Android and iOS, you can just hire one developer that would get the job done. However, there are limitations to these things. So you have to understand the limitation, and then based on the application you want to build, you have to understand the feature, and then based on that feature, you can decide are you going with native or cross-platform. Basically, you should go in native if you are building anything that has to do with the underlying architecture. It has a lot to do with it. So, and then cross-platform if it has less thing to do with the underlying architecture. Which is by architecture, I mean the OS. So that's the two part there is native or cross-platform. But anyways, a mentor used to say programming language is nothing but a tools. So you need to learn whatever tools you need to get the job done, right? So be it you have to learn Swift, or you have to learn Kotlin, or you have to pick up Flutter, or you have to pick up React Native. I mean, just understand one programming language and you can easily learn any other one. So learning resource, we have books, course, community. So I'll start from community. People don't really understand the importance of community. I mean, if you are in this community, you get somebody that is that ginger you to do stuff, right? You learn together. I mean, you guys share knowledge. You can even have these weekly sessions together whereby whereby just be like, okay, we'll go through stuff together and then, we share knowledge. Or you might be like, oh, I want you to learn this topic, then I'll learn this topic. And then at the end of the week, we'll like, exchange what we have learned, we'll teach each other. The best way to learn is to teach. So join community, solve problems for others. While you're solving their problem, you're also gaining experience, right? So courses, there's a lot of online courses. There's Udemy, there's Coursera, there's even Audacity, there's this other one, I forgot the name. Personally, I prefer Udemy. I don't know why, but yeah, I prefer Udemy. And then so even sometimes YouTube is enough. And then books are important, explore like, read books, documentation to be precise. I know a lot of us don't like reading documentation, but they are the essential part of development. So we have to learn how to read documentation because there'll be some stuff that you want to implement that are not, that are not widely used. So there's like limited resources on that. But then the documentation will be there to guide you and then, show you how to use those stuff. So moving on. So we have so what are like the key milestones in your learning journey? So first off, you have to start small. You can start with like a simple Hello World app. I know everybody has built an Hello World app. I mean, even the Flutter create command gives you like this counter app. It's not Hello World per se, but it's like it's a very simple app. So stuff like simple counter application, that's what Flutter gives you by default. There's Hello World. Start small, like just do something very minimalistic. You don't have to stretch yourself too much at first. Then you can go on to like functional applications, be the to-do list app, a weather app, be the weather app and then integrate this open API weather API. So you learn by building, and then you can go on to like complex application like chat app, expense tracker. When I was starting out, I even went as far as creating the Samsung calculator. This calculator on Samsungs that it has like this normal calculation and then this scientific stuff. So I designed the whole UI, add the functionality. I faced a lot of issues while doing that. I even had to go back to like the tutorial a couple of times just to grab what I was learning. So building, we learn a lot by building, and because you get a lot of errors, you have a lot of issues that you have to actually figure out how to solve them. So which kind of like brings me to this, like there is this like overrated, like underrated skills that most developer needs to have, but they don't, which is research skills. Like you need to know how to Google stuff, like a lot, because you just open your terminal, run the application, you see this error, and then you are like, oh, what is this nasty screen? And then you have to like, just calm down, read through it. In there you'll find like a search keyword you can use, paste it on Google, use a lot of links, Stack Overflow, a whole lot. I mean, your solution is in one of those links. So you really, really know how to like, search, Google is your friend, as they used to say. Um, so moving on, so we have project milestone from idea to launch. So we have this like idea validation. So whereby you think of something. There's this app I want to build. How is it going to like play out in the market? So this is where survey comes in. You use your network and then you create a survey and be like, oh, if you have this kind of app, what features would you like to the app to include? I mean, if you have used this kind of app before, what issues do you face? Or what other additional features do you think that they should add? So while you're gathering intel, you get to know if people are going to buy into your idea or not, and how best you can improve upon that idea. So that's idea validation. The next step is like design and prototyping. Um, People use Figma a lot for this. So you need to go to like the Figma board, you know, and then start designing. While you design, you can wire up the screens together. Meet up with like a few colleagues of yours, show them the wireframes and be like, okay, look at this app. What's your thought on it? What do you think I need to improve on or change? Just get feedbacks at every step. You get feedbacks from people, and you're good. And then once that is done, okay, I have my idea is validated. I have my designs already. Then you can move into the development part. So based on like the designs and specification you gathered, you can then start the development. Um, and then the last step is testing and launch. Testing is like very important. You need to like stress test that app and then figure out all the bugs there is. Um, Testing also includes security tests, right? You have to test for vulnerabilities as well. It's not just testing that the app functions as it should. You have to also test for security. Because man, we I think we hear a lot about this hacking issue with all these banks. I think there was even a hack issue with Global's Bank then. As a result of testing, you have to really you test, you fix bug, optimize performance, and all. Um, so Sample project structure. You can go with this structure. This is like a Flutter structure, by the way. So there's like a project directory where you have like your screens, you have like your services, you have components. Like these are like in Flutter, they are called widgets, that um other part of the application uses. So then you have UI components. Again, these are like widgets in Flutter. But then you get the idea. So you have to create. This is how I start my process. So I go through like the whole Figma board. Then I kind of like identify reusable components. These are test fields, buttons, like button, normal button, radio button, check boxes, stuff like that, and then teams and how the tests look like. So I identify all this stuff, and I see okay, this stuff are kind of like used across the whole design, more like design principle. And then you just go there, you go to your code, you implement these components first, right? And then they are reusable, so that way it will ease the development flow. And then there's like API integration. You can use library like Asios. This is for I don't know, I forgot. So you can use libraries like DIO, DIO. It's just for like what's it called? React Native. So you can use stuff like DIO for Flutter, or you can just use the normal HTTP. I prefer using DIO for obvious reasons. Um, and then the last one is state management. So for Flutter, even for React, you have to like use some state management solutions. So for Flutter, we have Blog, Riverpod, we have even Provider. Riverpod is like the bigger brother of Provider. So we have Provider before Riverpod, and then Blog is like industry standard, but everybody's opinion varies. But I use Blog. Um, so overcoming common development challenges. First one is performance optimization. Optimize your code for speed and efficiency. That's a very, very interesting one. I mean, you really have to do that. I mean, even Google of recent they increased their code quality. If your code is not up to standard, then you get this nasty badge on your store listing that says this app might be misbehaving on your device. I mean, we don't want that because we want a lot of installs and then we want to like a lot of users to be using our app. So we have to optimize our code, you know. Cross-platform compatibility. So you have to ensure that your app works seamlessly on different devices. So you have to test thoroughly and then address any compatibility issue. So this is actually speaking to when you're using like all these cross-platform stuff like React Native, Flutter, Xmarine and all. So here you have to like test like Android and then iOS. You have to get device of different screen sizes so that way your UI is responsive, right? I mean, it's not like stuff are falling off when you test it on like bigger screens. You want to keep everything in order. And then security vulnerability. I talked about this before. You have to protect your app from security threats. Implement measures, encryption, secure authentication, input validation. So input validation should happen on both front end and back end. Front end input validation is not enough to secure your application, so it has to be on both sides. That's it. Brainstorming session. So we're supposed to do this together. So your project idea, problems. So what problem can a mobile application solve? I mean, a mobile application can pretty much solve any problem. I've worked with IoT. I've even went as far as using Flutter to create a car dashboard app, which is AOS application. So yeah, pretty much a whole lot of stuff. Think it and then it can happen. So daily use, what apps do you use daily and all this. So these are like ways that you can actually get idea of what to come up with. So we have like a lot of problems, like that we can solve with technology. Now, when you find that kind of problem, you first think, can I solve this problem with the mobile application? Yes, of course I can. Okay. Then even the idea might come up with like the application you use daily. Maybe use this application and it's like really, really frustrating. So you just be like, what if I come with a better version of this app, that doesn't have to have all this, frustrating stuff, and it's just easy to use for the user. That's an idea. Or be something you like doing a lot, that can also like inspire an idea. So that's, these are not, there are a lot of ways you can get idea, a whole lot, but these are like the three common cases. Uh, Again, I just kind of like list some apps you can play with here, like fitness tracker, language learning, stuff like that. Duolingo, tax manager, ClickUp, Jira, and the likes. So those are like under tax manager, recipe app. I mean, people are really going crazy with recipe these days, so why not? Um, so here I'm supposed to like create a demo. So let me see. I think it's like way too fast. Okay, 27 minutes. All right, so I'll switch screens and then orchestrate demo of a sample of a simple Flutter app. I want to say simple, but then yeah. So let me stop sharing and then share the other screen. One sec, guys. So while we're waiting, you can unmute and ask any question.
All right, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, sorry, at some point I missed you. So I wanted to get it clear. So for Java, what is the framework used for building the mobile application?
For Java,
Yes.
okay,
Is it
Java
the
is like,
Kotlin?
okay, so that's for Android. You mean for Android?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay.
For Android, you can use it at Java or Kotlin.
Okay. Okay.
But I would suggest you, if you just want to start learning, I would suggest you go with Kotlin. Because I forgot the year, but then Google announced Kotlin as their official language. They're moving from Java to Kotlin. So you should learn Kotlin. If you are just starting out, you should definitely learn Kotlin. Kotlin, there's even Jetpack Compose that looks a lot like it's not like that looks a lot like Swift, I would say. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah. But then if you know Flutter, then using Jetpack is like pretty straightforward.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm with you, sir.
Okay, sir. Um, so between you said Flutter, right, and React Native, you mentioned that, right?
Yes, for cross-platform.
Okay, so, but, what would you advise from your own experience? Like, what would you advise? What direction would you point someone? Is it between the Flutter and the React Native? Which one is more in terms of demand in the market? Which one do you prefer
Um,
learn? Which one is easier?
okay, so first off, there is no easy language. That's one. And then in terms of like market demand, I think there's like a lot of opening for React Native compared to Flutter because but then if you want to focus on mobile, I would suggest you go for Flutter. I mean, you can check the benchmark, Flutter and React Native, and then you can see for yourself. So for mobile, Flutter is like a lot faster than compared to React. But if you are going for web, Flutter web is getting there, but I'll I would suggest you go with React. Yeah, so that's it.
Okay.
So that's pretty much um, any other question? Do you have any other questions? All right, so let me show you what's it called? Um a simple Flutter application structure. So Flutter doesn't give us like a structure, right? Um so that can like give you this free will, you can decide to create your stuff however you want. Um so for this for this application, I decided to go with clean architecture proposed by Uncle Bob. So um so I went to there's like SRC, which stands for source, right? And then there's app, there's call, there's DI, stands for dependency injection. There is features folder, which is like where the features is. In this simple project, I have just order and then table. And then there's like gen, which is so they are like I'm using some generations to like is my life. And then there's this one which is for localization. And then there is services. In this case, I have database service because I'm not using like a remote database in this case. I'm using SQLite, which is a SQL database, right? So you have to write this SQL query like create, you know, these are like all the create statements, creating the table, order table, setting table, menu, categories. And then there's like the query where you have to like, query those table. Um, so like this query, and then you have the name, where, hash, limit, and all. Um, and then there's like local storage. Maybe you want to pass something. The local storage is for the local storage I'm using Hive. So that's like everything about services, right? And then for the features, I'm using Block for state management. Although they are, Flutter give us some state management tools too, but I prefer using Block. And then if you look at the feature folder structure, let's take order for example. We have data, we have domain, and then we have presentation. And then under data, you see something like client, data source, and repository. And then if you expand the domain, you will see repository and use cases. And then presentation, you see blog, pages, and widgets. So to break this down, clients, this is where like you communicate with your clients, REST API or GraphQL or whatnot. And then your database actually connects with your clients, right? So in this case, for this case, I'm not using this client because I'm using a local storage. So which is database. So in this case, I'm using database service, right? And then using that database service to like, add insert and to also get and get all. And then for repository, the repository actually connects with the data source. This here, find other local data source, and then that's been injected into the repository implementation, which actually implements repository. So this is like this is an abstract class. And then the use cases connects with the repository. So, and then the domain also has a repository. This is where the abstract class for the other repository is, and then the use case connects with the repository. And then this is add other use case, get other use case, update other use case, and then there's presentation layer, which is the block. So this is where this is where I manage the state of the app, like updating stuff in real time within the application. And then there's pages. So for pages, I have just one page, which is like order list page. So this is where you have like, okay, you have a order. Is it paid? Is it unpaid? Is it closed? And then you have like other unpaid stuff empty, and then you have widgets. So for widgets you have like card button. This is like the reusable widgets within this feature. I mean, it doesn't span beyond, so it stays like within this other feature. So you see the same similar structure for table. And then we have gen, which is asset generation, right? And then there is shared. So on that shared also you see widgets like I said earlier. So these are like components that you use across the application. So this is like, for example, brought in, you use brought in like a whole lot of places.